Who's starting?
It's you, Venus.
Okay.
You're switching.
Ciao. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. This is Being 40. Oh, as I always say, it is always a pleasure to be here seated with Frank Moller and talking about our lives experiences. Oh my God, being 40. For those of you who are watching us for the first time, please, kuna link hapo. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll always take note of you. Keep the feedback coming in. And today we have a very interesting topic. Okay, I don't know if I want to talk about it, Frank, because ideally, as a woman, kuna kaleka, yeah, but anyway, Ebu tuambie, how has your week been?
My week has been brilliant, guys. We are on episode 10.
What?
Yeah.
But it's just the other day.
Just the other day, guys. All about being 40, guys.
So this is amazing. My God, episode. Okay, I think I have memory loss. That will also come in. Handy kwa hii topic, eh? Yes.
All right, guys, we're going to talk about midlife crisis. And basically, it's up to you to define how midlife crisis is to you. You have your own definition. I'll tell you my definition is basically losing self-confidence. And that's a topic for our session today. At 40, there's a perception that midlife crisis starts at 40. I don't know, but it depends on your definition, basically. Venus, midlife crisis, I mean, it's different between men and women, right? I'm gonna touch a bit on men and maybe generally, but I mean, tell me.
What's a midlife crisis? What is it anyway? I mean, really, we always make it. Midlife crisis too ni crisis at midlife. It's just as simple as that. I mean, looking at your, lifespan and seeing where, somewhere in the middle, things begin to happen. Your body sort of like, you are somewhere here and now your body basically, physically, mentally, everything, it starts going downhill. I think that's where now, I call it that breaking point. But based on your previous choices.
Yes.
So, I don't know, okay, mi sijafika ati midlife crisis zile, but I'm seeing myself, because kuna vile nimekuwa nikisikia physically, kuna pia vile behaviorally, hizo vitu. But ideally, midlife crisis happens between 45 to 50. Based on also, your culture, kuna wale watu wanakula mrenda. I mean, kuna wale watu tunasikianga wanakula, yani vitu zingine. So sisi watu wa Modokoi, we get midlife crisis at 50. But anyway, guys, I mean, for me, I have been in circles where I've, had conversations with women who are going through midlife crisis. So I'll share based on my own experiences, ile nikiendelea kufikia, and based on what I've, picked up from my friends. I don't know if, Frank, you've found yourself in those, groups of circles where you talk about these things, because for wanaume tunazijuanga because we see them. My husband, I think, is almost there. So nimeshaona two signs and symptoms.
I know he's gonna have to watch this and go like.
No, he will not watch this one.
You're not yet there, but he's already there. That's quite interesting. I mean, you're right. I mean, it starts from around 45. It can go all the way up to 65, right? There's different feelings, midlife crisis for men and women. I mean, for me at 40, when I was turning 40, the first thing that came to my mind was, what's happening to me? What did I do? I rushed and bought this book called Halftime by this gentleman called Bob Buffett. And what Bob says is, halftime is like a football game. It has 90 minutes. So the first 45 minutes, once you play, then you have the 15 minutes break. When you go to second half, you have to look at what are some of the things that happened in the first half that you need to correct. So when I turned 40, I thought, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of my life. And is it midlife crisis? I was like, no, but I'm going into the second half. And second half means I need to look at the things I was doing in the first half and how to make them better. But when you come to midlife crisis itself, and this is something I've experienced with people, I've seen. If you find yourself jealous of somebody else at around 40 or something like that, you just hate on everything somebody's doing, chances are high you're going through midlife crisis.
Really?
Yes, and sometimes it can be a loss of a loved one, it can be a loss of a parent, it can be the fact that your career with this COVID thing, you've just lost your job and you don't know what to do next. You have a family, you have kids, you have bills, so all of a sudden everything just seems like it's falling apart, right? And without having the proper foundation or people to support you, you can easily slide into midlife crisis. So it's a whole array of things, different things that trigger it. But for me, what I've seen, because I'm just sharing my experiences and the people around me, those are some of the points and spaces or people I've seen sliding into midlife crisis because of those things.
God, let me laugh, because I always felt that if someone is really hating on you for no reason, guys, I call them, monitoring spirits and enemies of progress. So come out there fitting into this space of midlife crisis. Wow, that is a learning point. But for me, Frank, looking at it ideally from a woman perspective, where we tend to feel and experience a lot of things, as you move, like something that I've noticed and has been very real, it's like, even whereas, coming from a place where you're not, I will say this because this is a safe space. And I mean, I know you've dated and all that, and all this women's stuff, where physically, you've been having your peace for a certain number of days. Slowly by slowly, it keeps, like, whereas you had 5 days, now it goes down to maybe 3 days. So what you're moving towards is, you're gonna, sooner or later, your peace will disappear. That is, part of the, what I'm experiencing right now. And then what my friend tells me, there's also, like a sexual change, what do I say? Well, I think this one, I don't know if my husband needs to hear it, but
Guys, it's being vulnerable.
Guys, please, I'm just, oh my God, yes, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. Yes, so, sexually, there's physical development, physical changes, have something to do with your sexuality. So at some point, you go down. It's like a, how do you call it? It's a yo-yo kind of thing, yeah? So at one time, you don't want it, another time you want it. But now when midlife crisis strikes, my friend, even your husband will be getting those online jobs and he'll be busy throughout, because apparently I hear, Yani, it's like, you are a fire woman on fire. Oh, my pastor, I hope my pastor is not listening to this, but I pray by that time I'll have invested in a very good fridge that will, calm me, and good music and all that. So that is part of the things that I've, heard from my fellow friends. And I think if our producer allows it, we should get now people who can allow themselves to be vulnerable, And if you're out there and you'd really, you're experiencing this and you'd really want to, to share your experiences, please let us know. Come, let's share, because at the end of the day, what we want is to mentor people. We want to, life is about being vulnerable at times, and especially, when we're talking about sensitive topics. And for those of you who are watching us for the first time, please go back, check our YouTube channel and see the various things that we've talked about, including teenage pregnancy, which was, I think, episode 9, okay? No, episode 8. Let us just share these things, because at the end of the day, we want to grow a society that is mentally stable. And how do we create this society that we want? By helping people avoid the mistakes that we have done. So part of the things that I'm experiencing is just going towards midlife crisis, and I know there's something called bone degeneration, hairline. What have I forgotten about hairline? My God. Okay, bado, but yes, hairline. I'm expecting my hairline to recede at some point. So those are the things that are, the doctor tells me, have to nini. And why is this? I will talk about hormones. Women, we thrive on estrogen, progesterone, okay, of course dopamine, because dopamine is the, it's the feel good, so when your sexuality comes out, I'm telling you, unenanga tu, yeah. So that kind of thing. I'm not yet there. I'm not yet there, guys, but trust you me, my husband will receive counseling, before I get there, and I also go for counseling. This is human, okay? We are not, there's things you cannot control, yeah? And for those of you who are in that stage, please don't feel like sijui ati, there's something. If you find yourself hating on someone else, as Frank said, please walk into a therapy room, learn how you can, synthesize your emotions and channel them into a positive way. Frank, but tuambie tu ukweli. I want you to tell us the truth, because I've allowed my, I've spoken as a woman.
That's quite.
There's nothing
intense.
you have felt of late, in terms of even as we wind up, able to tuambie tu ukweli, Frank. What could behave like you're perfect?
Where's my camera? Is it this, or this? Or this is my camera? Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting question, guys. I mean, it's. I'm 42 now, right? And like you see, my hair is, like she said, receding.
You're young.
Young at heart, young at 40. I think midlife crisis, like I said, it's lack of self-confidence at some point. And you have people who are almost your age mates, 40 as well. They feel a sense of they've achieved certain things in life. And when they see you may probably thriving, they start to hate. That's why I talk about jealousy. But for me at 42, I sat back and I said, I'm equally employed and an entrepreneur. So my struggles come in when I sit back and I say, I have less than 15 years to retire. Will I even go all the way up to retirement? If I lose my job now, what happens? Are my investments enough to sustain the lifestyle that I'm living, right? So I start getting into that motion of what do I need to do? And I'm getting into an overdrive, and I'm telling myself, midlife crisis can also be positive. I'm trying to sit back and say, midlife crisis, despite the fact that we're using the word crisis, if we plan for it, and if we plan ourselves nicely, when we get to midlife, it doesn't have to be a crisis. It has to be midlife thriving or something like that, right? But for where I am, I sat back and I said, wait a minute, I still have all these kids who need to go to school. I still need to have my retirement home. There's a lot of things you still want to achieve, but you feel like time is not on your side. What happens? At some point, I slowly started sliding into feeling that's the midlife crisis. And for me, mine was linked with age. Because I figured at 40, I meant to have achieved certain things. I meant to have done so much. But I came and looked at it and I said, KFC just came the other day to Kenya. The guy who started KFC, I hear he was over 60 years, or so to speak, right? So what does that tell us about midlife crisis? Did he sit back and say at 40, he felt things were falling apart? Maybe he sat back and said there's midlife thriving, right? So what I'm saying is you might slide into that midlife crisis, quote unquote thing, but I think we can prepare for it. I think we can sit back and say we don't need to get there to say like, shucks, I'm in midlife crisis. Some of us drink too much. Guys, you might not know. You're just sliding into your midlife crisis. But remember, you can still turn it. I'll call it midlife thriving, because we have people who've achieved it beyond that.
Frank, I just love, the way you're turning this thing from midlife crisis to midlife thriving. But I also love the fact that, you are preparing yourself, because it would be so bad when you're seated here, na umevaa majins, umesag, that is part of midlife crisis, or umeanza sijui kudrive magari gani. The ones, midlife crisis also has to do with scarcity syndrome, where you want to do things that you never did in your 30s. So you find that you're there, you're a kishosho, white hair, but you're trying, to have these two thingies, minis, nini, things, you're always trying to compete with the younger ones because maybe you felt that you missed that stage. And I really feel, if our producer allows it, that we need to have a part 2, because this topic, requires, it has a lot of weight, and it is something that we'd like, to help everyone who's in their 40s, because we are in this together. Some of us are getting out of it, some of us are seeing it coming. So let us look for our producer, please. I'm hoping that you will allow this to happen, an episode 2. But like I said, guys, please, if you're out there and you have more information about midlife crisis, please let us know. We will definitely have a part 2 of this story. But back to what we were talking about, Frank, what are your regrets currently? Do you have any regrets, like coming from your 30s? Because it will affect how you deal with your midlife crisis.
Wow, let me call them lost opportunities. But yes, I mean, I have a number of regrets. I would have loved to be, to have married by the time I was 35. I don't know if I should regret about it, but maybe the opportunity never presented itself, or a number of things happened. I would have loved to already have had, family, 5 kids and a number of, I'd love to have 5 or many kids, right? I would have loved to have achieved a certain level of success, and success is by my own definition, guys, not your own definition, because most of us define success by material things. No, there's a way I'll define it myself, right? I would have loved probably my parents back at home also to be living in a certain, so there are things I sit back and I say, if I knew at 30 or even 20, and with the resources that I had, I could have just started small. And then I build on that. But now that I know better at 40, I don't want to be statistics. So let me start now again and just see how far I'm gonna go with it, because now I'm more intentional and I'm more deliberate about it. Yes.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. I don't know what to say. I think, you, as I said, you always challenge me. But for me, I don't think I really have regrets, because yes, I don't have regrets, because I rate my success by the level of my level of spirituality, and to me God is everything. I am never ashamed to say it. To me, guys, I will never, and even if I'll never be able to separate myself from God, because I stand on his shoulders. And the fact that through the years, I got born again very young, the fact that I've grown in my spiritual, knowledge and all that, that is what is important to me. The Bible clearly says, and I hate to bring in religion, and I don't judge people, but the Bible is very clear. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. So for me, I'm always seeking God. Whatever else he adds to me, I'm okay with it. When I seek him, I think even when it comes to aging, he will help me age well. He'll help me age, So for me, it's about pursuing the spiritual issues first, and then let everything, because if my mind is content in God, if I'm satisfied, in my spirituality, even when midlife crisis, even those, whatever comes in, all those hot flashes and all that, I will be aware, because, I'll derive my strength from God. So that is it from me, guys. Please, as I always say, please like, share, subscribe. We wimbo tutaimba mpaka, I think, 2025, when we are getting into our 50s. But please, if this is the first time, like, share, subscribe. Let us spread this gospel of, first of all, mental wellness, and then being able to share our experiences without the fear of being judged. So till next time.
Guys, till next time. That was Being 40 at 40. Like Vina says, I can't stress it more. Like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe in our YouTube, Being 40, and follow us on Facebook as well. On Being 40, guys, it's all about midlife crisis. It's up to you to define yours. I'm defining mine, guys. It's all about our stories. What's your story? Thank you.
Hi guys, this is the Mind Spa moment where we talk about psychological facts. Today I want to be very specific, and I want to speak to women, because when I talk about midlife crisis, I have not experienced it, other than being a woman. So one of the things that I know is that, our hormones are in place, and we end up doing things that later we regret. For example, when your estrogen and progesterone levels are high, your sexuality, of course, is on another level. And sometimes we end up, adapting to behaviors that destroy our families. So one thing that I'd like to encourage you is, during any season of your life, midlife crisis or whatever season you are in, you have to be, first of all, aware of what is happening to your body. Secondly, make the right choices so that you're able to work your end from the beginning. You're able to have the consequences that you'd like to see, because choices, of course, have consequences. So if you choose to go out there and get a clandé, because probably you feel your husband is not really, satisfying you in bed. Let's call things as they are. A spade as a spade as a spade. At the end of the day, you end up destroying your family. So this is not something that you create in you. It is, a journey of physical growth and development. So for those of you who would like to learn more, kindly please subscribe on my YouTube channel, The Mind Spa. I talk more about psychological issues, life issues. And also please follow us on this show, Being 40. Like, share, subscribe. Let me tell you, we are human beings and we have to address everything from a place of being human. And being human means that you're emotional, and at times it requires that you are vulnerable. Till next time, thank you so much. This is the Mind Spa moment.
Hey, we are now on episode 10 of Being 40. And this is one of your favorite segments, Brutal Fact. Remember, go to Instagram, look for Brutal Fact, Frank Moller, and like it. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about midlife crisis. Guys, midlife crisis is real, depending on where you sit and how you want to look at it. I'll tell you this for real, right? I have mine which I call midlife thriving, because it doesn't have to be midlife crisis. But what causes midlife crisis? It's a simple. Men, let me talk to you, all right? When you get into midlife crisis, and it's always thought of, it starts from the age of 45 up to around 55. Guys, it can take us up to 10 years to come out of midlife crisis. For ladies, I think it's around 3 years, depending on when it starts. What are some other things that cause midlife crisis? A death of a partner, a death of a loved one, a death of a parent. Any person you value in your life can make you get into midlife crisis. What are the other things? You get into 40, you get into 50, and some of the people you are with start doing better than you. Jealousy, guys. Jealousy is part of midlife crisis. These are people who are just not happy for you because their life is not going in a certain direction, all right? I've gone through it. I've felt a number of times where I felt like I'm in midlife crisis. But how did I come out of it? I read a lot, guys. I love reading. There's a book I'm going to recommend for you from Brutal Facts. That's my page. It's called Halftime by Bob Bufford. Please get that book. Halftime is all about what you did in your first half of your life. It's up to you to define that first half. And then it shows you what you need to do on your second half, all right? Brutal Fact, guys, thank you for watching. Halftime is a good book for you. Midlife crisis, guys, watch out. It can get you anywhere and anytime. But also remember, it doesn't have to be midlife crisis. It can be midlife thriving, and it can be positive, and you move on. So what you do now, just do your 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, like I always say, so that by the time you get to 40, for those of you who are not yet 40, you can be able to manage it. And what's going to happen? You're going to thrive. Going back to being 40, guys, remember, share, like, and subscribe. Brutal Facts.
Fire, fire, oh, gospel music be fire, oh, we no retire, oh. Woman ya jetu bonge, kaduna yetu wende chiki bombe, style ya chiki bombe, dance for me chiki bombe #1. Woman ya jetu bonge, kaduna yetu wende chiki bombe, style ya chiki bombe, dance for me chiki bombe #1. Well, in cabin na bioliko, dance to the beat to the flow. No matter what, when na bioliko, dance to the beat to the flow. Ono ye kaya bikonyola, yes wa bikonyola. Ono ye kaya bisungula, yona ibya kushiba. Fire, fire, oh, gospel music be fire, oh. We no retire, oh, my DJ so fire, oh. Woman ya jetu bonge, kaduna yetu wende chiki bombe, style ya chiki bombe, dance for me chiki bombe #1. Woman ya jetu bonge, kaduna yetu wende chiki bombe, style ya chiki bombe, dance for me chiki bombe #1. Well, in cabin na bioliko, dance to the beat to the flow. No matter what, when na bioliko, dance to the beat to the flow. Kalango, don't go back, Congo. Yes, you could dance slow. up you can do. Number 1, ebirungi byankolera. Number 2, nakayimba nenkuyimbira. Number 3, emikisa n'okukirira. Number 4,